Oh, welcome back, everyone. We have a legendary guest with us. We have Jack Owen. How are you doing, dude?
Good, good. How's everybody doing out there?
We're doing great, man. Well, let's get into this. This is a new record, marks your guys' 15th studio record. You joined the band in 2017. How has the writing and recording approach changed for you with joining this band compared to like Cannibal Corpse or Deicide?
Yeah, that was always like group writing sessions, Cannibal and Deicide. And now it's like we live on four different corners of America. So it's like just write some stuff, demo it out, send it over to Chris and see what he thinks. So that's how I write. And if I feel like writing lyrics, I can always throw them on the songs. And it just like progressing from the first album in 2020, where I didn't really have a drum program or like endless riffs to work with. So I was writing off the top of my head for that album. And then eventually I got digital multi tracks and endless riffs going on, archived riffs. And I always like to record guitars with Jason Sukoff at Audio Hammer. So it's just evolved from primitive writing to drum loops to now I can actually assemble a whole song and then a whole album and then send it over to Chris.
And for you, how long does that usually take, especially with this new record?
Yeah, it depends on the song. Sometimes I write a whole song in an afternoon, or sometimes I'll just put it on the back burner and it might take two, maybe 3 days.
Not bad, not bad. And I love asking bands, and I know you guys did that with this record. You actually used like some archived material for one of the songs, and did you do that with any of the other songs or even lyrics?
No, I think everything was fresh. It was kind of once I was set up to write, I just kind of didn't really think, and I just wrote and put the songs together and just let them live on their own. It was kind of like throw it to the wall and see what sticks on this one.
Dang, that's pretty crazy. And was there any songs that you did write that didn't stick for you and could be used for another record?
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's probably 10 or 12 songs that didn't
Dang.
make it. Some death metal ones that could be rearranged, and some groovy ones that, yeah, we started writing side two, which was groove, like the first couple albums, I just went on a tangent and just kept going and going. So I've got like 8 or 10 of those groove songs left over. So the album is pretty much a skeletal frame right now, the next one.
That's great. And as a band, like for you guys, like do you guys kind of have a few track orders you guys had before you decided on this one, or did you guys come up with this immediately, like track
Mm.
wise?
Yeah, sequencing, it was, we wanted to have a death metal side and an old school side. So we ended up with that. We had to figure out the timing of the songs to make sure it would fit on an LP on one side and then the other. I think one side's a little longer, but it fit. Groove side, death side.
And another thing, you were in a band with Chris way before this. With joining 6 Feet Under, how did like the writing for you guys, like was it exciting? Did it bring back memories or did it like was it easy or
Yeah, it is easy. The band is like a brotherhood. Everybody gets along with everybody else, so that's cool. We all have faith in each other to do what's right and be responsible. And Chris gave me a lot of freedom to just write, and send it in. And like I said, we probably had 25 songs written and got leftovers. So yeah, it's exciting.
and with you coming out this, you already said you kind of have the new record for like the next time already done. Do you see you trying to write more, see if anything works, or think you're going to change anything?
Yeah, I think I'll put those aside and write some new stuff and kind of blend it in. And if they didn't make the cut the first time, they're gonna have to have some serious rearranging and rewriting anyway.
And with going into the studio, you talked about lyrics. Did any lyrics change from the writing process to the final product?
I don't think so. If I don't have lyrics in mind, I just take a huge book of American poetry and I'll put the song on and I'll read a poem or a couple, and the words will just fall into the song.
Dang.
and I'm not using it as just kind of like a pattern to fill in the song and then write lyrics in place of those. So I've got some demos that have some weird Shakespearean poetry on them before I wrote the actual lyrics,
Man, that'd be such an interesting like release to drop that. A lot of people are like,
right?
what?
Yeah, it's my vocals too, because when I
Yeah.
write lyrics, I just demo the vocals in my version of death metal vocals to tell Chris where they go. So that it's rough.
It would be very interesting, because like I find that fascinating that you do that when you're like trying to come up with lyrics compared to like a lot of people are because a lot of guitar players don't really write lyrics, so it's very interesting, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, sometimes I'll have all the lyrics floating around in my head and then write the music around that. But million ways to write a song. A lot of times, just write the music, and then all I needed is a concept or a phrase from like watching true crime on TV or whatever, and then I'm off to the races on lyrics.
Right. And another thing I love asking bands with like, going into the recording and writing process, you get inspired by things. Was there anything inspiring you? Music, movies, the world?
Yeah, last album, Killing for Revenge, was definitely kind of natural disasters and genocide. And this one kind of turned into Next to Die kind of fits. It's like individual horror films or horror stories or true crime stories, stuff that had actually happened, like one-on-one abductions and killings and stuff like that. Because there's so much true crime on the web and on TV. It's like just a phrase that I'll hear and I'm like, okay, there's the title, and then I write around that.
Dang. So that's what I was gonna ask. A lot of people have different song titles before they come up with the one that they decide on. And I was
Mm,
gonna ask if you had any ones before that, but you said you write around that. That's
mm.
interesting.
Yeah, the old Cannibal days, we would have a giant piece of cardboard or paper on the wall, and we would write down all the song titles that we could think of, just the craziest shit. And then when we had music, whenever, like a year from then, it's like, hey, I'm gonna use this title. So that's how we did it back then. Now it's just like there's inspiration everywhere in real life and fictional stuff.
And with you guys doing this, you guys are about to go on a tour, which you guys are doing a lot of tours, honestly. With having 15 records, I know you're not on all of them, but with having 15 records, how are you gonna fit the new songs in with the old songs?
I know we've only got one in it right now in the preliminary set list. So it's tough. 15 albums. Chris handles the set list. So he just gives it to us and we rehearse it and just meet up and play it. We'll see what happens. Because you want to have the classics and then you want to have the new stuff. So it's tough.
Is there any songs you're hoping make it on the set list for this tour?
We've got Mr. Blood and Guts from the new album in there now, and I hope we can do Mutilated Corpse in the Woods, which is the single we just dropped, because that's my favorite from the album. But we'll see.
And do you have any lyrics that you're looking forward to hearing live that you're gonna hear Chris do?
Oh yeah, all of them. Because yeah, live is different from the studio. Because studio you can tweak it and lay it in there perfectly. But live, you never know what's going to happen. If you can't hear yourself or whatever, anything could happen. Train wreck.
That's why I always bring up as a musician myself, you never know if there's going to be a screw up live. It could be you, it could be the drummer, it could be the sound system,
Mm.
and one thing messes up. Can you explain a time where you did mess up and you had to recover immediately?
Yeah, I think there was a show a long time ago, probably in Cannibal Corpse. It was just the monitors had everything you didn't want in them, and it was louder than the crowd and louder than the PA. I think maybe the left kick drum was in the monitor side fills and in front of you, and it was just like we were doing Hammer Smash Face, and it was the last song, and every time it came to the hits, it was like, oh God, I hope it's the end of the song, and he would stop. It's like, oh no, that's not the end. It was just the drummer kept going because luckily he knew how the song went, and it was just like, oh my God, I hope this is over soon.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Mm.
And with playing with this band, do you have clicks in your ears? Do you have certain things that you have to hear when you're playing live?
No clicks. Chris does use an in-ear so he can hear everything on his own. And I'm the guy that shows up and tells the monitor guy to turn my wedge off. It's like some guys know me and, oh, here's the guy, just turn his wedge off. And the assistant is like, really? Yep, turn it off. The drummer's right there and the drummer's right behind me. I don't really need anything in my monitor at all. I don't want to go deaf.
Right. Man, that's honestly the worst playing live. And you played with Deicide, like I said, you played with Cannibal Corpse, now you're with 6 Feet Under. How has your gear differed over the years, and do you try to make it more simple now with touring?
Yeah, if we have a backline that we're using in Europe, I try to take the lightest little pedal that I can just plug into anything, even if it can run on batteries, that's even better. That way you can set up, buy your amp, and then just go and play. But I've just been using older Line 6 pedals that are literally like this big, and then the other ones like this big. I've tried the newer Line 6 stuff, but I don't really like it. I just use stuff from like the early 2000s, and if it breaks, I just find it on eBay.
And how many guitars do you bring live?
Europe, it's been one, but I want to take two because there's two different tunings. We've been at D and now we're back to D, but it all in the middle of discography is at C. So, but we just tune everything just down to C, which is pretty heavy. So we can get away with one in Europe.
And we talked about things translating live differently. With this new record, or even with other records live, is there anything that translates a lot differently from the record to performing live?
Yeah, I think that's my main concern when I'm writing is to see how or hear or imagine how it would go over live. Um, just to envision a mosh pit or stage diving, or depending on what the song is propelling the crowd to do. Hopefully, maybe the last song on this album, "Ill Wishes," is a little odd, so I'm not sure if we'll play that live. It's got some clean parts. And Chris wanted the power ballad, so I was like, okay, wrote it in the afternoon.
And like you said, you guys try to make it where there's a mixture on each tour with the set list. When you go back to learn older songs, do you try to keep it exactly the same as who wrote it, or do you try to make it your own?
I've embraced the early 6 Feet Under stuff, which was written by Alan West from Obituary, and he had that like, fuzzy tone, which I love. So I kind of play it exactly like he did, tone and arrangement and everything. And once you kind of learn it, you kind of hear the patterns that he uses, the different chord progressions, and then it's like, okay, I know how this one goes already.
And with your own stuff, when you're playing it live, to keep it exciting for you, do you try to change it up a little bit?
Yeah, it was always like pinch harmonics flying, like whatever we're playing. Like me and Ray will toss them back and forth. Like at the end of a measure, you'll hear woo, and that who was that? That was Ray. That was me. That was both of us. Just something like that to keep it interesting.
And I have to bring up, I mean, you've toured for years. Is there anything from the newer bands, because I have to say newer bands because you've done this, that you
Mm.
take to your own career and try to embrace because you're learning new ways and adapting in a new industry, kind of, you know?
Yeah. We started without the internet, just trading cassettes through the mail. So now it's like every city's kind of different. Like what people want to hear and what they expect to hear. So hopefully the set list is satisfying if we can keep some classics and put in some new stuff. But yeah, that's like the main change. It's like now it's everybody has the material immediately.
No, that's crazy, right?
Mm.
Is there any venues you're looking to go to on this tour?
I haven't kept track of where we're going, but June is all the festivals like Grass Pop and Hellfest, which are super cool. Those are just something you can walk like backstage and hear everything, or you can walk around the outer ring and watch everybody. I think the last time I was at Hellfest, it was one of Black Sabbath's last shows, so I made sure to listen to that from like out front.
That's crazy. Is there any bands? I know you said you're not really following, but is there any bands you did see on those festivals that you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, it was always Iron Maiden back then, and luckily we'll be on a couple with them.
Sick.
And you kind of look at the 5 day schedule, like because we're only going to be there one day, and they've got a haul ass. So we look at the day, and it's like, oh, cool. Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats is playing on one day that we're there, and then Maiden's on a couple. I think Unleashed is on the first one. So yeah, definitely look at that and try to check out other bands because we're fans.
Yeah, of course. Do you ever catch them watching you guys side stage or anything like that?
I think yeah, sometimes you never know who's going to show up. Maybe the guys from Offspring will come and check it out.
That'd be cool. Honestly, that'd be cool. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like people think that metal is just kind of like an elitist thing when you actually like we like Offspring, we like all those different types of bands. So it's pretty crazy, you know?
Yeah, we're all fans of each other and we're all nerds. And, back in the day, it was like, oh, we're going to go to Europe and tour with Immortal. And we're like, oh my God, those guys are scary. I don't even want to talk to them. And then as soon as you get to the venue and meet them, they're like nerds and goofballs like us. And it's like, oh, of course, you learn that pretty early. We're all nerds.
And with playing the US compared to Europe, does your tour rituals, because I'm assuming you practice live, a bit more practice before playing live, change at all?
No, I think in America I'll be able to bring more guitars and more practice gear. So I'll probably be in the dressing room all day playing the set list and then playing along with like whatever I filled up my little trainer with, like from Heart, Barracuda to Cheap Trick to whatever. You'll hear everything coming out of the dressing room.
Nice. So, like, that's another thing I like asking. How does your playlist differ touring than like a regular day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine is like 60 or 75 songs. So I'm not sure what the other guys are doing. I know Chris rehearses every day in his apartment, and his neighbors gotta love that. Um, I'm in a smaller neighborhood and in my basement, so I don't think anybody can hear it. But yeah, I just kept adding more songs. I added the set list, and then I just started adding whole albums, like a whole first two albums. I played through those and then songs that I like from the other albums that we probably never play. But maybe Chris will hear me jamming them in the dressing room and be like, hey, we should throw that in the set.
And that'd be pretty cool.
Mhm.
And with touring, you've toured your like for the last like 30 years at least. I love asking bands, like, so everyone has a place they love eating on tour. What's your favorite place and what's your order?
Let's see. Man, that place in Pittsburgh that had like the grilled hot dogs and a giant bag of fries. I could never remember the name of it, but it was like right down the street from the altar or whatever that 3-story club was. That's awesome. And if you go to Buffalo, where I grew up, there's always 3 or 4 different places. There's Mighty Taco, Lenova Pizza, Jim's Steakout, and maybe like a Santora's pizza. Buffalo's probably got the best food in the world. So anything from there will work. An Anchor Bar, the original Buffalo wing restaurant. It's like a commercial for Buffalo food.
Um, and you have had a hell of a career. If someone was gonna listen to your catalog with Deicide, Cannibal Corpse, even 6 Feet Under, what five records would you suggest them?
Oh well, let's see. You gotta have Too Many Mutilated and The Bleeding from Cannibal Corpse. I enjoyed the Deicide albums, Stench of Redemption and To Hell with God. So that's 4. And then I gotta go with Killing for Revenge from 6 Feet Under, because that was the first one where it was like, hey, I can write lyrics, and I almost wrote the whole album.
That's pretty interesting. And you're known as a guitar player, a legendary guitar player to say the least. Outside of doing that, what would someone not expect from you? Like, do you go hiking or do you like collect art? Something crazy?
Oh, I'm the guy who takes a mountain bike on the American tours. So it'll just be like thrown in the trailer on top of the gear. And then if we're at a club early, maybe like 9 or 10, I opening the trailer, grabbing my bike and taking off to like thrift stores, pawn shops, supermarkets, the gym eventually. Yeah, that's me, the bike riding guy. And then like 2 weeks in, I'll weigh myself and I'll be like, damn, I lost like 15 pounds.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, dude. Do you kind of like carry like a backpack or you like have something on there to carry whatever you buy?
Yeah, I'm the guy that's got the the durable, reusable bags hanging off the handlebars. This time I'll do a backpack. I look like a hobo carrying bags on the handlebars.
The fans will see you. Hey, dude, that's Jack Owen on the
Yeah.
bike. Oh my God.
Right. I wonder if somebody seen me and said that. They
That'd be
don't yell it.
you keep it very quietly. But and then like I said, you've had a hell of a career, dude. You guys had the Ace Ventura thing. You guys even had album covers banned from different countries. What else would you say that you would love to accomplish that you haven't accomplished in your career yet?
Hard to say. We would hit the Billboard 200 charts with a couple Cannibal albums. That'd be cool if we did that again. That's kind of something to say. Hey, oh, my album's on the Billboard, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. And as I get older, I think the travel is as exciting as playing because you got 23 extra hours in the day to Europe. I have to walk or take a tram or a bus to get into town and see everything. So, yep, the travel, the bike riding. It's like nothing about the venue or the show. Like everything else is awesome. No, not really, but the show is just as important as getting around the town.
I agree. And you have toured the world. Is there any place you haven't seen that you'd love to see with you talking about the traveling?
Yeah, we've been to Japan, Australia, New Zealand, but it's always cool to go back there. Everybody's going to China. I'd like to see what that's all about. I'm not sure how they're able to go. It just seems really constricted as far as legal paperwork and visas and stuff. That'd be cool.
And you've been in death metal. Florida death metal is one of the most famous ones. For you, what would your Mount Rushmore be of like Florida death metal bands?
Florida, gotta have Obituary. Man, Morbid Angel started in North Carolina, and Cannibal started in Buffalo, but I think they added to the scene. So you gotta have Morbid Angel. Florida death metal. Diabolics did a lot in Tampa. Geez, who's left? Cannibal?
Atheist is one, honestly.
De Deicide or Amon. Yeah, Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
They would have like Glenn Benton and David Vincent and John Tardy and Corpse Grinder or Chris Barnes. We'd fight over that.
That'd be a crazy fight, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Um, and then where can everyone keep up with you guys and buy this new fantastic record?
Metalblade.com. And Chris runs the Facebook, so he's always updating that. And I think there's even links to the YouTube. So if you check out a single, there will be a link to the 5 different LP colors and the CDs and downloads and all that stuff.
Nice. And I'd like to thank you for taking the time to be on my podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. See everybody on the road.
Awesome. Thank you so much.